Hey guys, welcome to the podcast here at Learn DMX Lighting. Today we're going to be discussing universes, single universe and dual universe. How do they work? A universe is composed of 512 available channels to program your lights into. This is a block of 512 channels right here. This block is empty, there are no lights in it, so let's start filling it up with some lights. Now guys, in these examples that we're going to do, they're going to be a little bit far-fetched. They're not exactly the way things are normally done, but they're going to be for demonstration purposes and the simplicity of showing you this so that you can retain it real quick and easy. Let's do it. In our first example, we are going to take a light that we're going to say uses up 512 channels in order to control everything that it offers. Excuse me. Channel 1 might be pan, 2 would be tilt, 3 would be speed, 4 would be red, 5 would be green, 6 would be blue, and 7 would be, yep, you guessed it, I'm not going to do all 512. You guys get the idea. So once we've gotten done programming this insane amount of channels for one light, we have used up this entire universe. We can no longer fit lights in here, and we need a second universe. The only other way to use more lights in here would be for the light that we've used to take likewise lights and program them to the same starting address. The disadvantage to that is that when you push up the fader for green, they're all going to go green, so you have less artistic control. So now let's go to the opposite end of the extreme. Let's say we have a light and it only takes one channel. You push the fader up, it gives white. That's all it does, is one channel. So the starting address would be 1. We've got 511 channels left. If we took a second light and we did that only required one channel, it would be in channel 2 as a starting address. We could do that all the way up to 512 and have 512 lights here. Nobody's going to do that. This is just a crazy example. So what I don't want you to do is go away saying, that Steve guy said you can fit 512 lights into a universe. Nobody is going to do it this way. Again, it's just an example. All right, let's do another example, one that's more real-world, realistic. For those of you that have been following this series, you'll recognize this diagram here from OptiSplitters, which was the last episode. For those of you that have not been following the series, okay, if you are confused at this point, we have 4 videos before this one. They go in succession in order to get you where you're at to understand everything if you're completely new to this. The first video is on terminology. The second is on addressing lights. The third is programming moving headlights. The last video before this one, which was the fourth, is on OptiSplitters. And when you take OptiSplitters and universes and tie them together, boom, the whole big picture becomes very clear. So, moving on, we are going to use the top example here, not the bottom, so let's cover it up. Dun, da, da, dun, da, 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 da. Boom! All right, let's just pretend we covered it up. We've got a typical light system here. There's a controller. There's a line going out to an OptiSplitter. The OptiSplitter is running each one of its channels to one light. These look to be likewise lights. So let's say, for example, each one takes 10 channels. So that would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. 80 channels now used. If we start with an empty universe of 512 and we use these 80 channels, we've taken away 80 channels, we now have 432 channels remaining. See how quick you can use up your channels? That shows you that light shows are more limited by the amount of channels that the light takes up than by the number of lights. Let's look at this picture as being part of one universe. The signal is coming out of a PC, and that's what I'm teaching is DMX lighting with software. So we have a USB cable. It's coming out of the PC, and it's going into this. This is called an interface, or it could be called a dongle. You might hear me call it an interface in one sentence and then a dongle in the next sentence. It's the same thing. This looks to be a 2-universe dongle, line 1, line 2. Okay, line 1, let's say it's universe 1, is coming out and it's going to this light. This light utilizes 12 channels. Daisy chained over to this light. This light also utilizes 12 channels, and it is a likewise light. Then it comes out and it daisy chains into this strip light right here. The strip light uses 3 channels. The other strip light uses 3 channels, and it is a likewise light. So if each light in that diagram gets its own channel assignment, the first light would use 12 channels. The starting address would be 1, it would end at 12. The second light, the starting address would be at 13, and it would end at 24. Then we go into the strip lights. The first strip light at 3 channels, the starting address would be 25, and it would use 26 and 27. The next one, the starting address would be 28, using 28, 29, and 30. So we've used 30 channels here. But what if we wanted to save channels? All right, guys, remember, these are likewise lights, so we can address them to the same channel using less channels. The first 2 lights that took 12 each, we're now going to put both of them, starting address 1 going up to 12. And then we have the other 2, each taking 3 channels. Starting address would be 13, 14, and 15. How about that? We just cut the channel usage in half. We've cut our artistic freedom in half, but we have a lot of channels left. So you have learned that this interface, or dongle, whatever you want to call it, is responsible for sending the signal to the light. So let's take a look at one of these, a real one, not one that's hand-drawn. And pretty soon you'll see one of my award-winning drawings. This is a single universe interface. Out of your PC is going to come a USB line, and it's going to run into right here. And on this one, there's going to be a light showing us that we have USB signal. It's receiving from the laptop. There's also going to be a power light on. It gets its power from the USB out of the laptop. We go around to the front of it, and we have a DMX cable. Now, guys, the cable coming out of this is the main artery that's going to be running to your lights. Don't use an audio cable. Please don't trust an audio cable to do that. Sure, people are going to be texting in here going, well, I do it all the time. Well, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. I wouldn't risk it. All right, to get back on track, this line is going to be running to either your opti-splitter, or it's going to be running to the first light in your chain of a universe of daisy-chained lights. All right, guys, I promise you we are getting closer. The time is ticking by, and we are getting much closer to seeing my award-winning drawing here. But first, let's say we went to Publix, okay? We went shopping, we bought a lottery ticket, and we won the lottery. A little small lottery. And we went out and we bought a bunch of lights. Now we have nowhere to put the lights because our first universe is filled up. There it is, the award-winning diagram. Well, not really. I'm a stage lighting artist. I am not an artist with a pen or a pencil or a paintbrush. I can't even paint the side of a barn. I can hit one, but I can't paint one. All right, anyway, here we have one universe. It's filled up with lights. This is our second universe that we are about to fill up with lights. These are 1 through 512, and when we go to the other universe, we start over 1 through 512. Each universe is independent of one another, therefore none of the addresses will overlap each other. But to do this, we're going to need a lighting controller that will support multi-universes. This is my Show Express program. If you look up here, you can see Universe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I am using 2 universes. Quick rundown on all this. This is that grid with 1 through 512 numbers, channels that are available to your lights. And these are the lights that all live in this universe. If you look at this universe, it's a little sporadic the way we have open channels here. That's what these black spots are. They're open channels not being used. When I designed this program to have a second universe in it, I didn't really run out of room in this universe. I could have put all of these lights, all of those right there, and all of those in this one universe. As a matter of fact, they were in this one universe. What I wanted was each light to have its own universe, its own channel. For example, here's a tri-strip light. Tri-strip, there's 3 zones in the light, so it's a strip light. 1, 2, 3. All 3 of those used to live at this address, 13 through 26. Okay, and I made them all individual. There's all kinds of moving lights that were in here. I moved them into here. You can see this is mostly all moving lights. There are some pars in here, but mostly all moving lights. 2 universes. Cool stuff. So let's go ahead and get the information to all the lights. This is a dual universe interface. It works like the other one that I showed you, in that there's a line coming out of the laptop, USB, and it goes into the back over here. Yep, I promise you there's a place in the back there to plug it in. And then you have a DMX line going out of here to the lights that are set up in your first universe. And this one goes to the lights that are set up in your second universe. Now, guys, if you're using 2 universe worth of lights here, okay, let's not be running these lines out to daisy chains. You should be running them to you know what, an opti-splitter. All right, let's look at yet another way in order to get information out to 2 universes. These are 2 individual single universe interfaces, 512 interfaces, meaning that each one will handle 512 channels. And what's happening here is there is a USB line coming out of the computer going to one, and another one going to the other one. We'll call this Universe 1 and this Universe 2. Now, to save space or have enough hubs to do other things, enough USBs rather, do not use a hub. Okay, do not use a hub and plug the line into the hub that goes in here. Okay, these are your main arteries again, and you are going to want the USB to be directly plugged into the computer. You could try it. I'm sure it'll work. I wouldn't recommend it. There are disadvantages to doing it this way, and it's what we were just talking about, using a hub, which some people might want to do. Again, don't do it. And that's because a lot of computers that come out today only have 2 USBs going out, USB A's. So you've used up all your USB outs right here. Another disadvantage is that when you unplug out of the computer, the USBs, when you plug back in, the computer or the Show Express software, something can get confused there, okay? I'm not an IT guy. I don't know exactly what's going on with it, but I know that something can get confused as to where it's sending its signal to, okay? If it was wired up, that let's say at a that out of port A, the USB out of the computer was going to this, and that's the way you plugged it back in, it might not work. It might send it over here, and it's just going to get all kinds of conflicting information. Let's say you have a scene you hit, 10 red lights are in it, and you're going to get 1 blue light strobing and going crazy. You're going to be plugging in, unplugging, switching stuff. It's not going to work, And then suddenly it's going to work. That's been my experience with it, and that's been the experience of a lot of people because I've seen this problem addressed on a Show Express forum before. Using this interface that's made for two universes where there's just one USB line that plugs into it is really the best way to go. This is another way to get data to your DMX lights. This is called a node. With a node, we use an Ethernet cable, a nice lightweight cable, and it will send all your information out and transfer that information through ArtNet, sort of translate it into DMX, okay? And then you'll have a line here that will go out to one universe. This will go out to the second universe, and this will run to, where's it going to run to, guys? You guessed it, an OptiSplitter. And this second universe line here will run to another OptiSplitter. This node is for a small-scale show for two universes. I believe you could buy this brand here up to maybe 6. I'm not sure, different brands go up to different numbers of universes. Now, the benefit of using this type of a program in a large-scale concert, when you're sending out via an Ethernet cable, you can send out information to probably thousands of universes, okay, with one single cable. What if I wanted to use 6 universes on my Show Express, which it's capable of doing? I don't want to run 6 big, bulky, heavy DMX lines out. I'm going to run one Ethernet line out, and everything's going to be real close to each other, and we're going to use short cables to get to these universes. Now that we know how to get all the data to the lights, how do we use it in real-world application? How do we program it into the light board so all your adoring fans can see what you're doing with it? Well, we're going to find out, and guess what? Now we're going to see my award-winning diagram that I designed just to teach you guys this. Dun da da da! There it is. All right, maybe not so award-winning. I'm a stage lighting artist, guys. I don't do art with pencils and pens and paint brushes. I can't even paint the side of a barn. I could hit one, but I can't paint one. So here is a rough idea on how we get these lights out to the eyes of your people out there. And this is a very rough idea. Remember, all programs are different, so the logistical approach to making scenes is going to be different in different software and different hardware. Hardware meaning physical light boards, not PCs. But this should give you a general idea. All right, here's your universes, and here's your whole control system here. Here's where your lights are patched into. Let's pretend that we want to make a scene with a light out of each universe, and we want to make them red. So we're going to pull one light out of universe 1 right here. Going to put it into where we program it. We're going to pull another light out of universe 2 right here, and we're going to put it in here where we program it. Okay, we are then going to push the faders up to make them both red. And then we are going to title the scene. We're going to call it red, and we're going to save it into a scene file. Okay, then we want to show people. We're going to pull it out of the file, and we're going to put it into this controller right here. In this case, the controller is a keyboard. And you can demonstrate your lights to the great, big, adoring public that we all have, either by pressing buttons on this keyboard, by a touch screen, a mouse. There's a whole variety of ways to do it. So that should just give you an idea, and we're going to be touching on this in much more detail here coming up pretty soon. We're going to build a light show together. And I believe that might be 2 episodes up. A lot of the lesser expensive light boards out there, they're kind of budget brand light boards, $150, $200, $300. A lot of them do not offer a full universe. They might have 190 something, 380 something channels available, but less than 512. And some of them do have 512. But software is always the best way to go. When I was going to make the switch to software, I was like, software? No, 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 no. I don't even know how to ring a doorbell. How am I going to program lights with software? I've been doing this for 40 years without software. I don't want software now. Nothing worked with software. Software is the way to go. Take it from me, the guy that was the absolute naysayer, okay? Use software. Okay, if you guys have been following me, you know that this is what I recommend for software, Show Express. Show Express is put out by Chave. You download the software in your computer. It's free to download it. And then you purchase the interface, and you have to use a Chave interface. With a lot of the other softwares that are free downloads, you can use a generic interface. However, there might be a reason for that. And I believe it's because you get a lot more out of Show Express, okay? More mileage for your buck right there. If you don't want to purchase the interface, you can always purchase a node, okay? A node can be used with Show Express and a variety of other types of free software, okay? Whereas with the Show Express, only their interface works, and it doesn't work, as far as I know, with any other types of software. Our next episode is going to be getting started with Show Express software. We're going to take you on a little tour of it so we could do some hands-on stuff after that episode and build some lights together. But I got... trying to talk too fast. I want you guys to remember one thing. It's very important. This show is Marshmallow approved. It always has been. It always will be. And remember, I want to teach you to rock some lights. Hasta la vista, baby.